Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my new studio space, my new setup. Come on in, welcome. There will be more studio office content coming soon. But seeing as we are over halfway through 2021, I thought it would be a good time to do a little check-in, to have a look at my goals, my resolutions, and see where we're at, take stock, maybe make some more goals, see what the crack is, essentially. So I had a look back at my goals and my resolutions, and turns out I didn't make any resolutions this year, and I made a whole video about why I wasn't making any resolutions. We were like peak lockdown and it wasn't happening. But although I didn't set any resolutions for 2021, which I see as different to goals, resolutions I see as kind of more like habit building and habit forming, it happened naturally. So I didn't force it. I didn't say at the beginning of the year, these are the things that I want to do. There were just things that happened. So 2021, I built a gratitude practice. I now, every day, most days, at the end of the day, I will write down 3 things that I'm grateful for that day. Also, I believe in that video, or maybe a previous like resolutions video, I talked about how I go through phases of exercise. Like every 3 months, I'll like shift to doing a different thing, like whether it's Ring Fit or Pilates or running or like all these different things. Well, I'm currently very much in a tennis phase, but I'm hoping that this phase sticks. I've been basically doing tennis lessons twice a week since April, since they started letting you do them again. And I'm now playing in like friendly competitive matches in my local area as well, which is loads of fun. And I also went to Wimbledon this year, it was my first time going, and I had a little cry walking around the grounds. It was fine. So how many months has that been? April, May, June, July. Okay, so we're in like 4 months of playing tennis, and it's definitely continuing. So I now play tennis. And then also I've been learning German, as you may have seen from a previous video where I tried to count in German. And a few of you said I sounded Swiss, but that's something that I've now been doing for 3 months. 2 or 3 months, I don't know. And I've been doing like 10 to 15 minutes of German almost every day. So that's kind of cool. Didn't plan for those things, but they happened. But I did make some goals. So let's see how I'm doing with those goals. And actually, I had to go and find my list of goals because I couldn't remember them. So maybe that's not a good start. So the first goal that I made for 2021 was to complete my sexuality educator certification course, which I am making progress on. It is happening. I am definitely putting off the papers for as long as possible, which is maybe not the best strategy, Hannah, but I'm essentially just doing as many webinars as I can and that I have access to. And then at some point, I'm like literally not going to be able to unlock the next set of webinars, and I like have to do one of the papers in order to do that. I remembered that I hate writing essays. It's just not fun for me. And if anything, this experience has been a lesson for me of like, Hannah, don't go back to do a master's because it will be worse than this. But we're on track. My second goal was to hire a new artist for Sexy Scribbles, and this was like a do immediately goal. And if you are subscribed to my newsletter, you'll know that yes, I did this, I completed this, and I'm now working with the amazing illustrator Louis Lauger. They have been creating these amazing sex positive, body positive coloring in pages that are free to download from my newsletter, and there is a new one every month. If you miss that month, then patrons actually get access to all of the past Sexy Scribbles. That's another little perk that patrons get, just FYI. My third goal was a bit vague, which was to figure out TikTok/Reels and also figure out if I want to even figure them out. You may have seen that I've posted some Reels, not a lot, but I've definitely been like dilly-dallying in them, and I do enjoy it. I just don't have a huge amount of capacity for like coming up with ideas for them. They're very quick to film and edit, but it's just, my brain is just so attuned to making long form content and just like rambling and talking out my ass for 20 minutes. But then also YouTube have released shorts, and all of these platforms are just really pushing video, really pushing short form video in this kind of like TikTok-esque style. And I feel like I need to do it. In fact, actually, no, I do want to. There is an ounce of the like, oh my God, I feel like I need to do this, otherwise I'm going to be left behind. But there is a part of me that I now know from having made some reels that I do enjoy it. But I have decided, I've drawn a hard line at joining TikTok. I mean, technically I have already joined TikTok, but I've drawn a hard line at actually opening the app and looking at it and posting on it. It's fine, I'm almost 30. Every time I've downloaded that app and like opened it, like 2 hours is gone. And that is not the way that I want to live personally. So that one we're still kind of working on, but progress has been made. Boundaries have been set. Experimentations have been done. Number 4, I was very excited to see this on my list, which was to explore the idea of maybe moving into a separate office/studio. And I did that. Kind of unintentionally. At the time of like looking around this place and making the decision about whether or not I wanted to move in here and like doing all of that terrifying stuff of like, do I make the leap? Do I do it? I had forgotten that this was a goal of mine. It did not even register of like, oh, maybe you should do this because it was a goal for this year. But clearly by setting the goal, it maybe had just been like marinating in the back of my brain. And so that's why I started kind of like scouring out some places and being like, oh, what availability do you have? So yeah, oh my goodness, we did that. Still terrified, if I'm honest. What am I doing here? Number 5, a classic, always a feature on a Hannah Witton goals list, which is about the content creation machine, the hamster wheel, the treadmill, whatever you want to call it. It is always a goal of mine to figure out how to get off it. Being on this content treadmill is honestly one of my least favorite things about the job and is what causes me the most stress, anxiety, just like not feeling good, feeling creatively burnt out, just feeling worthless. Have I actively done anything to combat this, or have I just continued to stew and melt and panic in this state? Of course not. Of course I haven't done anything about it. Of course I haven't taken action. Changing the way I do things? What's that? Getting out of your comfort zone? Never heard of it. That's not true. I'm in the studio. This is very much out of my comfort zone. But I do have some plans. I do have some ideas. Some things are bubbling up. One is that hopefully once the podcast studio stuff is done and we start like recording stuff for season 5, we have video elements of the podcast, which means on my sex and relationships channel, I can start posting clips from the podcast. I don't know whether that would be like as a bonus video each week, or if some weeks it might just replace that week's video entirely if I think that I have like a really good quality clip from the podcast that can essentially like work as a video. So that would kind of like lift that anxiety a lot, I think, is my theory. The other thing is live streaming on YouTube. And this is something that I have been talking about in my newsletter a bit. I've been very inspired by Evelyn from the internet's live streams. It's not often that I see someone who isn't gaming essentially like doing a live stream on YouTube and it being thoroughly entertaining. But that's just Evelyn. She's amazing. But it's been a source of inspiration of like, ooh, maybe I could do that. And like, how would I do that? And like, what kind of live streams would I do? And then maybe that would take off the pressure to do a video that week. But in that case, would I do the live stream and then keep it up as a VOD? So then that's the video for the week. Or would I do live streams on top of regular videos and then the VODs are available just for patrons? Lots of things just ruminating up here. And the other thing is that I'm just meeting new creators and talking to other creators, and this content treadmill is always a topic of discussion that comes up time and time again. And so I'm just chatting with other people and being like, how do you manage it? How do you deal with it? And getting advice and inspiration and insight and all of that. So maybe this will be the year that we crack it, she says optimistically. My 6th goal was to continue to grow my Patreon, which I have been doing. We ran a special offer this year for the Common Room bookmark, which was really cool. And I currently have the goal to hit 1,000 patrons. Is that a 2021 goal? Do I think we'll be able to do it this year? I think it might be possible this year. And so I also want to start thinking about what the next special offer will be, what kind of fun thing that we can do as a community, what like thank you gift I can give to my patrons. And then my final goal that I set for myself, which was a bit of a wild card one, was to carve out creative free time every week. And I said half a day a week where I would have no obligations and it would just be creative free time and I could do what I want and it would be amazing because creativity doesn't work under pressure, or at least mine doesn't apparently, I don't know. So the first week back at work, I literally did carve out like half of Friday of like, don't book anything, creative free time. And it got to that time and I was just like, what do I do? Like, I don't feel compelled to do anything. Like, I'm like, I think I did some baking. I honestly cannot remember what I did. And then that goal very swiftly just, I don't know if I'd call it a failure. I think the goal was wrong. I think I need to figure out something new with this goal because I think the sentiment still stands, but I don't think kind of like carving out the time and being like, this is when I'll be creative. I don't think that works. So it kind of just has to be more like within my calendar and within my to-do list and within like the tasks that I set myself every day, maybe giving myself more wiggle room to do those so I have more time to be creative in those moments instead of going, okay, now it's creative time. I don't know. Has anyone else tried to do this? And then this was something that I didn't set as a goal, but it was a win because it happened anyway, kind of like the tennis and the German and the gratitude and all of that, which is that I learned how to use Premiere Pro. I have been a Final Cut person in all of my video editing for all of the years that I've done YouTube. Granted, I do not edit these videos anymore, so I'm even very rusty in Final Cut, but I did this like Adobe Creator Camp course and finally learned Premiere Pro, which is really handy for me because I now have completely switched to PC. That's not true. I still have an iPad and an iPhone, but my laptop and my computer are both PCs, so it means that I switched over to Premiere because I occasionally like edit little things here and there. So I still need to be able to do video editing. I am shockingly bad at Premiere Pro, definitely still a beginner, but I know enough to be able to do what I need to do. And then my editor occasionally gets like texts from me where I'm like filming my screen being like, what is happening? How do I do this thing? So thank you for your help, Becky. So that's how I've been doing with my goals. Some wins, some not so wins, some works in progress, some me just thinking about things for forever and eternity and never doing anything about it. Recently though, I did get a bit of a like inspiration boost, like lots of ideas coming to me and I was very excited. And I know that it's not possible for me to like do all of these. I do not have the capacity at all. And I have to manage my expectations. But you know how much I love a new project. Ooh. But I now have this note that is just called Big Ideas Dump. And it's just like where I throw stuff. And I would love to be able to do at least one of these before the end of the year. So one of them is hiring a new person to be on my team, kind of in like a creative producer role, but then also like researcher, writer role. I don't know. I'm still figuring it out of like in terms of like where I need help and what the team needs. Basically, I want like a clone of me who has all of the like YouTube, social media, like internet video knowledge, plus they're better at sex research than me because I'm bad at that. You know, it's good to know your weaknesses. I'm just a real slow reader. Another thing that I keep thinking about doing is basically creating another podcast show, but maybe not as like full on as doing it, just like a bit more casual where me and someone else, maybe my assistant Megan, me and her kind of like talk about it every now and then, like, oh, maybe we could do this, where we would just chat about freelancing, organization, productivity, but it all being through this like anti-capitalist and disability lens, because there's just like so much stuff out there about like productivity and organization and like living your best life and like life hacks and all of these things. I just want the anti-capitalist and disability lens. I just want it to be with that approach. Does anyone know anything that exists like that already? Because I would watch / listen / read that. Another thing that I want is like a hub and an online community for sex educators and content creators and journalists. I want a big old Discord server where we all hang out and can talk to each other and ask questions and collaborate. This is me just like putting things out into the world. We'll see what happens. Obviously, like live streaming on YouTube, I talked about that. Doing like shorts and reels, talked about that. And then also a fellow Patreon creator who I met through Patreon's A Club is doing this like collaborative scrapbook handbook thing with their patrons, and that just like sounds so cool to me, and I would love to create some sort of like digital scrapbook with my community. I don't know, again, this is just like very like top line ideas. Have not thought much into it, but sounds cool. There you go, you have now my big ideas dump. I would like to commit to at least one of those. We'll see. But yes, thank you so much for watching. Did you set any goals at the beginning of the year? How are you getting on? I think it's always a good idea to do these mid-year goals check-in things. If you did set goals at the beginning of the year, not to punish ourselves at all, no, but just to take stock, because sometimes our priorities change, sometimes life changes, sometimes the world changes, and so do we. I hope that you are all doing well, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.